Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
Cowboys coach sends strong message on Ezekiel Elliott role. It would be tempting to look around in the Cowboys running back room and decide that since Ezekiel Elliott is back in town and again in his familiar surroundings, after a one-year walkabout in the AFC, he will be the guy carrying the heavy load for the Cowboys next year. Oh, but Coach Mike McCarthy has other ideas on that, speaking about the transition phase that the Cowboys' running game finds itself in after the departure of free agent Tony Pollard in March. McCarthy said it will be his goal to ensure that Elliott does not have to handle too much of the Cowboys' workload in 2024. McCarthy was asked whether Elliott would be the man again back in Dallas. McCarthy was pretty emphatic in saying no. "I don't think that's fair," he said. "What do you mean? The guy carried the ball more than anybody in the history of football in the first couple of years. That's not going to be his role. We're a running back by committee. He'll definitely play at the level that he's played at in my time here. I anticipate that. I don't see any drop-off in the way he moves." Ezekiel Elliott led NFL in rushing as a rookie. McCarthy is right. Elliott has as sterling a resume as a Cowboys running back as just about any in franchise history. He led the league in rushing as a rookie, and again in his third season, and led the NFL in yards per game for his first 3 years, at 108.7 yards, 98.3, and 95.6. He scored 68 touchdowns in 7 seasons. But as so often happens with NFL running backs, Elliott flamed out under the weight of his early workload. He had 4 great seasons to start his career, but he declined precipitously after that. By his final season in Dallas in 2022, he tallied 58.4 yards per game and a career-low 3.8 yards per carry. Last year with the Patriots, that dropped to 3.5 yards per carry. Still, it is a concern that the Cowboys have so little proven talent in the running back room heading into the depths of the summer. They could yet add another body, but as it stands, the Cowboys have Elliott, last year's backup Rico Dowdle, 2023 sixth-rounder Deuce Vaughn. Cowboys passed on rookie. Even a bigger concern was the Cowboys' decision not to pick up a running back during the draft when the opportunity presented itself. Heading into the draft, it appeared a near certainty that Dallas would select one of a thin crop of incoming backs. But when given a chance to pick a running back with the 87th pick in the 3rd round, Marshawn Lloyd from USC was the next player drafted, with Jalen Wright and Bucky Irving leading a 4th-round run on backs. The Cowboys instead went with Notre Dame linebacker Maris Lufau. Linebacker was a need, no doubt, but running back appeared to be much more pressing. Team VP of Personnel Will McClay said after the draft that the team passed on a running back because of the way the board unfolded, and that having Elliott as a backup plan was good enough for the team. "I think the running back position this day and age is not that old-school number 1 guy as the lead back, and the others fill in. It's a group by committee," McClay told the Dallas Morning News. What Elliott will add to that group, we're excited about, as well as the other pieces with it, and how we add that to the offense and use them for their skill sets in adding something to our group. Cowboys could add former 1,000-yard Pro Bowler after Zay Jones' rejection. The Cowboys took a swing on wide receiver Zay Jones, who visited the Star this week, but ultimately they missed, as Jones signed on with the Cardinals and left the Cowboys in the lurch, as the team looks to add wide receiver depth behind star CeeDee Lamb and veteran Brandon Cooks. There are still some quality number 3s out there on the NFL free agent market. Michael Thomas of the Saints was once on his way to a Hall of Fame career, but injuries and team squabbles have left him unsigned. A pair of Super Bowl champions, Mecole Hardman and Marcus Valdes-Scantling, are still on the market. Make no mistake, with Jones off the board, the Cowboys have arrived at the bottom of the free agency barrel. But if there is a player whose style of play and price tag might just suit the Cowboys perfectly, it's a guy who remains unsigned despite a Pro Bowl season on his resume. Former Raiders star Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow had one breakout season with Raiders. We've looked at the possibility of Hardman in Dallas. But this week, in a mailbag at Cowboys.com, beat writer Nick Harris also broached the possibility of Renfrow, whose rise and fall in Las Vegas over the last 3 seasons was fascinating. Wrote Harris, just ahead of the Jones visit. With Zay Jones visiting this week, the Cowboys may also be in the market for a receiver. If Jones doesn't work out, Mecole Hardman or Hunter Renfrow could bring some playmaking ability to the offense next season. Renfrow had 2 NFL solid seasons after he was a 5th-round pick in 2019 out of Clemson, where he had helped the Tigers to 2 national championships, catching passes from both Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson. But in 2021, with the Raiders mired in controversy, Renfrow got more assertive and quarterback Derek Carr began finding him more and more. Renfrow went for 103 catches and 1,038 yards, plus 9 touchdowns, and earned a spot in the Pro Bowl. That production was short-lived, though, as new Raiders coach Josh McDaniels' offense turned away from Renfrow, who struggled with injuries in 2022 and tallied only 330 yards in 10 games. It got worse in 2023. Even after the Raiders changed coaches to Antonio Pierce, Renfrow played all 17 games but finished with 25 catches and 255 yards. Still, he has experience as a slot option and a possession receiver, and with his career in a rut in Vegas, he makes sense on a 1-year make-good deal with the Cowboys. Cowboys searching for number 3, no doubt the Cowboys do need to address the third receiver situation. Lamb is number 1, and despite his contract stalemate with the team, he is due an extension. He will be back in Dallas next year and will be among the best receivers in the game. Cooks is number 2, but will be 31 and is entering the final year of his contract and possibly his final year in Dallas. Last year's number 3 was Michael Gallup, who was unceremoniously cut after another massively disappointing season. He was signed by the Raiders, essentially filling in for Renfrow. This year's number 3 is up in the air. It might be 2022 third-rounder Jalen Tolbert. It could be little-used third-year man Kayvontae Turpin or 6th-round pick Ryan Flournoy. More likely, though, it is a low-cost free agent the Cowboys will add in the coming weeks as the barrel gets scraped. Renfrow is one of the last good names in there. Can Trevon Diggs lead the Cowboys secondary in 2024? In September 2023, Cowboys star cornerback Trevon Diggs went down with a torn ACL. 7 months later, Diggs is looking to lead the secondary once again. He was coming off back-to-back Pro Bowl seasons and a historic 2022 campaign that tallied 11 interceptions and 21 passes defensed. That year earned him an All-Pro nod, and when he went down, nobody thought Dallas could replicate that production. However, second-year corner Darren Bland had other things in mind. Bland himself had a historic season following in Diggs' footsteps. The 5th-round Fresno State product had 5 pick sixes, 9 interceptions, and 15 passes defensed. That was the most in NFL history, and he finished 5th in DPOY voting as a result. Now, the question is which star corner will lead the Cowboys secondary in 2024? And can Diggs provide that at all, considering his recent injury? For such an athletic defender who relies on explosiveness to get to the football, how is he going to adapt coming off a major knee injury? There is an interesting example in Dallas past that might help us answer that question.